This is 9.2 in trig, so we're going to find the area of a triangle in this section. Now, that may seem easy for most of you because most of you know that the area of a triangle is just 1/2 times base times height, which is written right here. But the question is what happens if the height or the base is not given to us? What do? We have a lot of different ways that we can actually find what we need to find the area of a triangle. What we're going to do in this section is talk about how do we use trig to find that. So let's just get right into the example, because if you see this type of triangle here, we have our A, B, and C angles. We have our A side, our B side, and then this would be our C side, but we also have our height. And what we're going to do is we're going to be taking our triangle and we're going to be trying to figure out what the height is. We're going to use trig to find that because all these triangles can be turned into right triangles. So it says find the area of this based on the information that's given. So the first thing we want to look at is that what we have here is if we create a height straight down, that is going to create for us a right triangle. So we have a right triangle here with some information. And remember, we can't find the height without knowing what it is. We have to know what this h is to be able to find the area, okay? So what we look at is I'm given this angle measure, I know what this side is, and I'm looking for this side. So what we want to think about is what sides are given to us, or what sides are we using here? So we're using the height, which is the opposite side, and we're using the 5, which is the hypotenuse. So if we're using the opposite and we're using the hypotenuse, that should tell you that we need to use the sine, because opposite over hypotenuse is sine. So what we're going to do is we're going to say sine of 56 degrees equals h, which is the opposite, okay, not hypotenuse. H is the opposite side over 5. So to figure out what h is, we just multiply 5 on both sides. So multiply by 5, and whatever we get when we have 5 sine of 56, that's going to be what h is equal to. And in this case, we get 4.145. So we now have the h. So now when we look at our area formula, we have 1/2 times base times height. We can plug in 1/2 times base. Our base of our triangle is 7. Our height is what we just found as being 4.145. And plugging that in, we get an area of 14.508 square units. So it's really that simple, is figuring out what our height is going to be. So now in general, what we can do is when we are given two sides of a triangle and the angle in between them, so here we have a side of 5, a side of 7, and we have the angle in between of 56, what we can do is we can actually come up with a formula that will work every single time. Now again, this only works if you have two sides and the angle in between. The area will be 1/2 times the base, B stands for base, times, we're going to call it C, because C is going to be the hypotenuse side that is given to us, and then it'll be sine of A. So basically what we're looking at here is B is given to us as the base of the triangle, C is given to us as the other side, usually the hypotenuse of the right triangle that's created, and A is the angle that's in between B and C. So base, hypotenuse, and then the angle that's in between those two sides. Okay? So that is the general formula. Now, do you need to memorize that? You can if you want to, but you don't have to, because you can do it exactly like what we did in this problem right here. Figure out what the height is by using simple trigonometry. Once you have the height, you can just use your normal formula for a triangle to plug in and solve. So in this example right here, a picture is not given to us. So what the first thing you want to do is draw a picture. So that's what I'm going to do. And it doesn't matter how good the picture is. And then what I do is I'm just going to label it as F, N, A. And it really doesn't matter how you label it. You just want to make sure that when you label your sides, that you know what the base of the triangle is and where the height is. So for example, we have FNA. So that means that F is going to be 10. That's the opposite of the angle F. The N is going to be 12. So that's the opposite of the angle 12. And then it says A is 55 degrees. Well, as soon as you see that this is 55 degrees, in this angle right here, that should tell you that when we create our height of our triangle, we're dealing with this right here. So there's the height that we don't know. Now again, you could go through and find the height the same way we did in the previous problem, but we also now know that we have a formula to figure out the area of this, because the height is going to be found within this formula. Area equals 1/2 times base times third side times the sine of the angle in between them. So the base here is going to be 10, so 1/2 times 10. C is going to be the 12, and then the A is going to be the angle in between them, so it's sine of 55 degrees. And then again, use a calculator to figure that out. We get A equals 49, sorry about that, 49.149 square units. Okay, all these problems are the same. So we should, the one on your own should be very similar. You can use this formula, draw the picture, make sure you know how to label the height if that's the way you're going to do it. Otherwise, you can use the formula and plug in what you need. So try this on your own. We'll see what you get. All right, so when you did this problem, again, it may not line up with the letters up here, but keep in mind, the letters are going to work the same way. The B and the C are the two sides that are given to you, and the angle A, it doesn't have to be angle A up here, it just means that's the angle that is in between the two sides that are given to you. 6 is the base, 5 is the other side, 63 is the angle given to you in between. Plug it right into your formula, you get 13.365 square units. And again, you could have also done this by finding the height first. Again, the height would be right here. We would have 63 as our angle. Opposite over hypotenuse would be the sine of 63 equals h over 5. So we'd have 5 times the sine of 63. And you should notice that this portion right here, that is the same as this. That represents the height of the triangle, so then you're left with 1/2 times base times the height. It's just that the height was figured out by doing 5 times the sine of 63. So hopefully this was a pretty straightforward section. See you in class, and let me know if you have any questions.